when my wife and I, we watched the Republican debates and just laughed so hard, like, oh, he's gone, he's out of here, what a joke. And then the next day, he wins the debate. Like, huh? The same one I saw? Like, never understood it. But
What do you think about 2024?
I think he's gonna run.
Do you think he'll win?
Yeah. I hope not. I don't. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't have a gauge, I guess. Um, they're saying that the Republicans are going to lose a lot of seats in the midterm, so that's
Who's
one
they?
good piece. Huh?
Who's they?
Huh?
You
Oh,
said they're
all
saying.
kinds of people. I say, yeah. I don't know, but besides that, the Trump thing, it was just an example of, I guess, me thinking something was awful, but didn't think everyone else would jump on the bandwagon. And then they did, like in spades.
That's like the story that people who come to my open discussion group, white people generally, that's like the story they all have to tell, which is like, I remember one guy was like, I went to a meeting with some colleagues about, I think it was for taking some of the Confederate statues down here in the state. And he was like, he all of a sudden he started seeing people standing up, like supporting keeping the statues. And he was like, wait, where am I? You know,
Yeah,
like he had
yeah,
that feeling of like, wait a minute, what is this is not real. Like people aren't really, and yeah, but no, yeah. You
yeah,
know, I mean, does it make you think like, just like, does it make you think about how deep the rabbit hole goes? Like, how far removed from like the true reality that you maybe were, or, and that other people possibly are?
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I've also had read a lot, like, read a lot of Derek Bill, right? And it's like, he makes good points, but yeah, really? And then when it all starts happening, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. he was he was dead on, like, so I guess in a sense you could see it coming, um, but it's also brought out, like, it's so clear that the backlash against critical race theory is just a backlash against anti-racism broadly, including the entire civil rights tradition, right? Including even abolitionism. Like in reality, they oppose all of that, all of it. And CRT just became the scary rubric because, the Cold War gave us the Great Satan, which is Marxism, and that's like America's anti-America conceptually, right? And then, enough connections here. The word critical theory, like, they were proto-Marxists, or yeah, no, not proto, but you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you know that scene
Neo-Marxists.
in like Minority
So,
Report where he's like pulling together all the clues or whatever. That's
yeah,
that's how I
yeah.
imagine it right now.
Yeah, you could stitch that together and, like, oh no, so that now that's Marxism, or you know whatever it is, but that one is still functions, powerfully, the same as it actually functions exact same way today as it functioned for George Wallace in Alabama, like, which is just crazy.
It
But
is insane.
um, and so more and more you're seeing it, like it's going even further than you thought. Like how do we have a reemergence of Charles Murray? Like, how is that possible?
Money.
I thought that was gone, like, in the past. How was Tucker Carlson, like, have more views than anyone in cable news? Like, are you kidding me? Like, the KKK's favorite, like, stated favorite talk host is like the number one.
But
Like,
think about how it's so hard for you to believe when, you know, this is a generations long issue, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
we've been fighting against this stuff for generations. It's not surprising that it's enduring because it already has been enduring, you know.
yeah,
And I think the only difference now is that more and more people are becoming aware of the problem, and I think as more and more people become aware, we'll start to actually see more clearly the mechanisms by which it operates. That's the next stage is that we're getting to, and that's when the real party starts, so to speak.
Right, right. So I think probably what surprised me is that like I kind of understand the political progression of how racism adapts, right, to new circumstances from studying CRT and everything. And so, new languages are developed. There's different set of dog whistles, right? You know, but so what's surprising to me is when then that whole system creates so much comfort for white supremacy that they can go back to the old stuff. That's what like trips me out. Like
It's not
I
old
didn't think
stuff. It's not old
away with.
stuff.
Well, it's not. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. That's why you can get away with it.
It's all one.
So
It's all one thing. So I get why you're thinking of it as like a sliding bar, right? Like,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
I
all
just mean in terms of the politics, like what people will actually say out loud. Like that's what I mean.
people do whatever they can get away with.
So we were supposed to be, we're supposed to be playing the colorblind game, right? Where if you try to address racism, you're the real racist because I don't see color, right? I thought we were supposed to stick to that script. We weren't supposed to go, well, and there's this IQ difference, or like, whoa, like, yeah. I know that it's all racism. I know that it's all one thing. I just think I'm a little surprised at how rapidly, you know, um, old ways of saying things are acceptable again. So, I mean, I guess it's just clear that it's always just strategy. If it's not being said, it's just because it doesn't work right now compared to
Precisely. I think that's a great way of thinking about it.
yeah,
And I also think that is it really acceptable? It's not really acceptable that people are saying things, but people are accepting it. I think is a better way
right,
of thinking of it too.
okay,
Like I mean, that's
yeah,
just it's a signal of where we're at, and it's a good one, and people need that because a lot of people, like you said, are like we've been talking about earlier, are trapped in this illusory idea of the world that they're living in and the country that they're living in. And
yeah,
so it's good for them to see that disruption. Of course, coupled with that, I hope that they're inspired to be a little curious like you were, and will investigate. But I found that curiosity is quite lacking in my conversations with people, and that's what worries me is that there really isn't the same kind of passion that you've shown in coming on this show and doing all your writings and research and confronting people publicly and taking on the sacrifice of losing that church family. Like I don't see people wanting to travel down that road. I see people look at it and turn away from it all the time. And so, and I think that that's just part and parcel of working within, the current present situation and where we're at. And some
right,
people will not turn away, right? Some people will follow you. And so we just have to find those people, keep identifying, keep spreading, the truth of the matter and give people an opportunity to step down the same path that you're traveling.
right.
That's all I can do right here as host of this show. And that's all that you can do through your writings and through your communications with people in your community, right?
Right, right. Yep. And like I said, back to what you had asked before, like all of this going on with CRT, it does indeed make me like, okay, I need to keep reading. I need to keep writing, even if it's not going to change anything. I feel like in as much as I can do, you know, then I definitely want to do it, especially, the wilder it gets and the, the, the bigger the wave of backlash gets, the more I feel I need to like dig in and get some work done. So kind of what I'm trying to do now is less like it's clear that people who want to know what critical race theory is can find out, and most people don't really want to know what it is. And arguing about that is just been like the most fruitless thing for like a year. Not for everybody, because people who did want to learn learned. So that's good. But so now I kind of feel like just I'm trying to work on like specific writing projects. I would actually, more in-house sort of stuff too, because I think that's another thing that a lot of us did is play to the haters for, you know, much too long. Like they weren't listening, they weren't going to listen. Everything you said was going to just be fodder for a new piece in defense of white supremacy that they're calling the defense of the Bible or whatever, you know. So, so I do think that as surprised as I am and as worried as I am, it does inspire me to keep going forward. And I think that it also does connect with, like you say, I'm hoping it's getting more and more visible because of that. I know, like talking to my wife, she pretty much stays out of politics and doesn't have, a lot of interest, just because I think she doesn't trust anyone, thinks everyone's bad. You know, got some plenty good reason. But when I tell her like, oh, critical race theory is all over the news and stuff, she's like, what news? Like on the internet, whatever, like it's possible. And then it's like telling her, oh, a whole state, just banned critical race theory from, it's like she's stunned, like that's impossible, right? So I think that there'll be people like her that'll be like, all right, you guys have gotten nutty. People who aren't even like involved in politics, who realize like there's definitely something else going on here than just, yeah,
It's going to
trying
be
to.
impossible to ignore eventually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally agree with you.